Hello, everyone, and welcome. You are watching Eagle News America. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. I'm Philip Toledo, coming to you from Atlanta, Georgia. Tonight, we have updates from several of our correspondents from across North and South America. They are standing by now with a preview of tonight's headlines, so let's make sure to say hello. May Davila in Ciudad de Panama reports about the curfew in Panama extended to weekends in July. Then Ken Cruz in Fort Washington, Maryland reports about how the Maryland positive coronavirus cases are trending downward. Then we'll go to Union Township, New Jersey with Carlo Valdez.
First in the nation temperature scanner and mass recognition technology unveiled in New Jersey.
Then in Sicklerville, Mayan Manzano Guerzon.
Governor Murphy issues quarantine advisory to individuals traveling to New Jersey from 16 states.
Elmarie Gonzalez in South Haven, Mississippi updates us on the Mississippi governor signing a law to remove a Confederate emblem from the state flag. Then Michael Hudson in Seattle reports about Washington state seeing a second highest one-day increase in coronavirus cases. Then we'll go to North Hills, California with Marianne Borja.
Los Angeles addresses quarantine.
Plus, tonight we will talk about how we can help mitigate the spread of coronavirus now that pandemic restrictions are easing in most states. But first, an overview of how the world looks now. According to the Coronavirus Resource Center of Johns Hopkins University in Medicine, as of 6 p.m. Eastern Time today, Wednesday, July 1st, 2020, the number of cases of COVID-19 reported worldwide is now more than 10,500,000. This includes more than 2,600,000 in the United States. Sadly, this virus has claimed more than 514,000 lives worldwide, with 127,000 of those deaths here in the U.S. Our coverage begins now. The curfew in Panama extends to weekends in July. Eagle News correspondent May Davila reports. May?
Panama ended June with an accumulation of 33,550 infected by COVID-19. On June 30, day 114 of the declared national emergency in the country, 765 new positive cases were recorded and 11 new deaths were confirmed. A day after completing 4 months with gradual confinement due to the presence of COVID-19, 15,745 patients in the country have recovered from it. However, there are still 16,254 people in isolation, of whom 15,590 are at home and 664 in hotels. 920 people remain hospitalized, and of them 774 are in regular ward, while 146 are in the intensive care unit. Faced with the continued increase in infections, the Ministerio de Salud made a modification to Resolution 492 of June 6 that established the curfew from Saturdays at 5 p.m. until 5 a.m. on Mondays for the month of June. With this modification, citizen mobility in the provinces of Panama and Panama Oeste will continue to be suspended on the weekends of July. No person may circulate during curfew hours in the weekends except for medical emergencies or the exercise of work activity with safe conduct pass. The circulation by gender and ID number is also maintained. Desde Ciudad de Panama, May Davila, Eagle News. Vivimos en tiempos interesantes.
Thank you, May. Now, coming up, we'll have updates from our correspondents here in the United States. We'll be back shortly, so stay with us. This is Eagle News America.
Patindi ng patindi at tuloy-tuloy ang pagpapakita ng galing ng ating mga TNG aspirants.
You're just too good to be true.
It up, you came to get it broke with a dame, I should have broke you back.
When I was a child.
Abangan ng kanilang performances sa pinakamalaking talent competition sa buong bansa, Tagisan ng Galing.
Tagisan ng Galing is presented by SMC Infrastructure, building a better world. Sanmig sugar-free white coffee, puno ng white coffee taste without the sugar, kaya lower calories. Try mo na Sanmig sugar-free white coffee. Sarap ng white coffee, now sugar-free. Vet-approved Nutrichunks, the only premium dog food with active boost for optimum energy and prebiotics that help strengthen immunity. Just like Catherine Bernardo, gawing listo, ganado ang fur babies niyo. Listo ganado sa Nutrichunks. Magnolia Chicken Templados, delicious, ready to cook and freshly marinated daily. Pure Foods Luncheon Meat, pure sarap for every family. Star Chunky Cheese Corned Beef, ang cheesy ng corned beef mo. Walang duda, kids can tell na #1 ang Pure Foods Tender Juicy. Ang tender, ang juicy, ang sarap. Co-presented by Cooper, expert in air conditioning and electromechanical. Also engaged in structural, electrical, fire protection, plumbing, and sanitary services. Cooper, your ultimate NEPs and air conditioning solutions. Unlad Incorporated International, fight against global poverty. New San Jose Builders Incorporated. Canrib Corporation, your ventilation and air conditioning specialist. Vita Herbs Philippines Green Coffee, masarap, mabango, at healthy pa. Puerto Rico Resort and Convention Center, Cabiao, Nueva Ecija. I love Puerto Rico. In participation with Rain or Shine Elastomeric Waterproofing Paint, Matimco, Our Square Variables Incorporated, Compizel Enterprises, Saisho International Trading Corporation, DN Steel, IMAC UPB Roof Corporation.
Hey, Gretchen Ho here, and I'm a white coffee lover. Creamy kasi, and very yummy. Pero mas masarap kung hindi nakaka-guilty. Check my new discovery, Sanmig Sugar-Free White Coffee. Puno ng white coffee taste without the sugar, kaya lower calories. Try mo na! Sanmig Sugar-Free White Coffee. Sarap ng white coffee, now sugar-free.
The successful development of TPLEX, or Tarlac Pangasinan La Union Expressway in 2009, a 4-lane toll road that extends from Tarlac City to Rosario La Union with an additional approved extension of 56 kilometers all the way to San Juan La Union. This is expected to reduce travel time to Baguio and other provinces in northern Luzon. Realizing the vision of creating a better world for Filipinos fueled the team's focus.
Listo at ganado ang baby ko sa vet-approved Nutrichunks. With active boost and prebiotics na pampalisto. Made with real meat, with essential nutrients to help them grow healthy and happy. Listo, ganado sa Nutrichunks.
Ikaw lang ang star ng buhay ko. Para sa akin, perfect ka. Ang cheesy ng corned beef mo. Pag Star Chunky Cheese Corned Beef, sarap ng corned beef, inangat pa ng real cheese cubes. Star Chunky Cheese Corned Beef.
Welcome back. You are watching Eagle News America. I'm Philip Toledo in Atlanta. Positive coronavirus cases in Maryland are showing a downward trend. Ken Cruz in Fort Washington has the details. Ken?
Thanks, Philip. With the month of June passing, Maryland continued its downward trend of positive COVID-19 cases. The numbers through June 30th for the state was a total of 67,918 confirmed infections. As for the month-over-month comparison, Maryland had 29,855 cases in May and 14,591 cases in June. Along with new cases, Maryland has seen declining rates in other principal metrics such as deaths, hospitalizations, and testing positivity rate over the past month. At Wednesday's meeting of the Board of Public Works, Maryland Governor Larry Hogan said, quote, "Here in Maryland, every one of our important metrics continues to trend in a positive direction," end quote. The governor also urged caution over the 4th of July weekend, saying, quote, "This crisis is not behind us. We cannot afford to stop being vigilant and cautious," end quote. The state reported 15 more fatalities Wednesday, the 6th straight day with fewer than 20 deaths reported. Maryland's 646 fatalities reported between June 1st and Wednesday are less than half of the 1,034 333 deaths reported during the month of May. In all, the virus has killed 3,077 of those with confirmed infections in the state. More than 70% of the state's victims have been at least 70 years old, a group that accounts for less than 14% of Maryland's confirmed caseload. More than 14,000 of the state's cases, about 1 in 5, stem from nursing homes and similar long-term care facilities. Likewise, more than 63% of Maryland's virus-related deaths are tied to those facilities. At the end of May, the state's rolling 7-day testing positivity rate was 10.9%, which is a steep drop after ending April at 24.5%, which is one of the nation's highest. Now, Maryland is one of 26 states with a rolling positivity rate below 5%, which this is according to Johns Hopkins University's Coronavirus Resource Center. The World Health Organization recommends 14 straight days of positivity rates below 5% before governments begin easing virus-related restrictions. Maryland's 4.72% rate reported Wednesday marked its 6th straight day below 5%. Maryland is still in stage 2 of its roadmap to recovery. With July 4th weekend only a couple days away, many fireworks displays are canceled to prevent crowds, but beaches like Ocean City remain open. Ocean City leaders warn people to come at their own risk. In Fort Washington, Maryland, Ken Cruz, Eagle News. We live in interesting times. Back to you, Philip.
Thanks, Ken. Now we have a first in the nation. A temperature scanner and mask recognition technology has been unveiled in New Jersey. In Union Township, our New Jersey Bureau Chief Carlo Valdez has the details. Carlo?
Thanks, Philip. Mayor Stephen Fulop of Jersey City announced a new normal in which you have to be scanned for your temperature in order to be granted access inside the building you are entering. No, you won't be scanned by someone holding a digital thermometer to your forehead. That's old technology. Rather, there will be a machine that you have to stand in front of, and it will take your temperature and also check if you have your mask on. This new technology delivers more contactless solutions so that we can continue on to help in slowing down the disease of COVID-19. Here's some words from the mayor. Let's take a look.
So this is the new normal. We are the first in New Jersey, I think, to implement this sort of technology. It will not require anybody to touch anything, no person there, but will assess a person's temperature and, of course, recognize if they have a mask or they don't have a mask, and based on those things, allow access or suggest denial.
With this program, we've been able to take a look and support our staff while we've been taking temperatures as early as April. This is making it a lot easier and allowing those staff that have been taking temperatures to move back into other roles to keep staff safe. And we want to make sure that all of the public are able to come into buildings when they have appointments.
The GoSafe scanner is manufactured by a company by the name of OneScreen. They're based on the West Coast, and we've been fortunate enough to align ourselves with them to provide these solutions to government as well as private sector.
And as for COVID-19 updates, here is today's stat report of New Jersey's COVID-19 cases. According to the Department of Health of New Jersey, there are 423 new positive cases reported today, bringing a statewide total of 171,928 New Jerseyans that tested positive. Sadly, we have 45 new confirmed deaths, adding to a total of 13,224 fatalities. Currently, New Jersey's daily spot positivity is 2.29%, while rate of transmission is 0.82. The number of hospitalizations continues to show a downward trend statewide. New Jersey is currently on stage 2 of its road to recovery, with more establishments reopening on July 2nd. In Union Township, New Jersey, Carlo Valdez, Eagle News. We live in interesting times. Back to you, Philip.
Thank you, Carlo, for that report. Now, if I understand correctly, you were at the unveiling event of this technology yourself. Is that right?
Yes, Philip. I was there, and I was able to witness it firsthand, how it works.
What do you think?
Well, not sure if they're able to play the video of me getting checked by the machine, but yeah, you just walk up to the machine, no touching. It recognizes that you're wearing a mask. Otherwise, it'll tell you that you're not wearing a mask, as you can see in the video. So I put my face mask on, and bang, 97.3 degrees Fahrenheit. I am normal, and I got the green light, and the machine also was saying access granted. I mean, thank God it didn't say access denied. Otherwise, they'll all look at me funny or even worse, kick me out, you know.
You might have to stick a nasal swab up your nose. Now, you may have mentioned this, but remind us again, what types of facilities is this going to be used at?
Mostly the municipal buildings.
Okay, so if you need to, go to the city court or pay your water bill or something like that, is that the type of thing?
Exactly, Philip.
Now, is there any plans to start using this technology in other places?
Not yet, but they said by July 7th, that's when they'll start using them.
Okay. Well, very good. Well, thank you so much for your report, Carlo, and I'm sure we'll get back here when we talk about our how to mitigate the virus when we get to the end of the program.
Sure, Philip. Thank you.
Take care. Now, Governor Phil Murphy issues a quarantine advisory to individuals traveling to New Jersey from 16 states. In Sicklerville, Eagle News correspondent Mayanne Manzano-Guerzon reports. Mayanne?
Thank you, Philip. Governor Murphy today advised individuals traveling to New Jersey from states with significant community spread of COVID-19 to quarantine for a 14-day period from the time of last contact within the identified state. Take a look.
Today, we updated the list of states from which visitors are being advised to observe a 14-day self-quarantine period. These are states which currently have a positivity spot test rate higher than 10%, or a new number of cases more than 10 per 100,000 residents. So if you're coming to New Jersey from one of these states, we urge your compliance. And we also urge you to get a COVID-19 test while you are here to ensure your health and safety and that of those around you.
As of Tuesday, June 30, there are currently 16 states total that meet the criteria stated by the governor. Alabama, Arkansas, Arizona, California, Florida, Georgia, Iowa, Idaho, Louisiana, Mississippi, North Carolina, Nevada, South Carolina, Tennessee, Texas, and Utah. Travelers and those residents who are returning from impacted states should self-quarantine at their home, hotel, or other temporary lodging. Individuals should leave the place of self-quarantine only to seek medical care or treatment or to obtain food and other essential items. Travelers and residents returning from impacted states typically will not need to check in with public health officials unless otherwise they are involved in contact tracing efforts or required to do so by their employer or any other federal, state, or local law or order. It is expected that individuals will follow the public health advisory to self-quarantine. In Sicklerville, New Jersey, Mayanne Manzano-Guerzon, Eagle News. We live in interesting times. Back to you, Philip.
Thank you, Mayanne. Now, I'm sad to hear that Georgia is on the list, so I guess I'm not coming to visit you or Carlo anytime soon. But, what if, someone is coming to visit and but they don't have anywhere to stay? Does the state provide any lodging or hotel rooms for those who, need to isolate?
Philip, according to the Health Commissioner of New Jersey, Judy Persicelli, as of July 1st, they have identified close to 3,000 bed spaces for isolation and quarantine. She also said that it is enough to meet the demand. She also added that for people that will visit and will go to isolation and quarantine, they have social service supports available to them. So, Philip, you can still visit, and we will provide a place of isolation for you.
Good to know. Good to know. Well, what's the, I know this is probably sudden. I know a lot of people there, you might have friends or family that have friends or family outside of the state. What's been the reaction to this restriction or this mandate to quarantine?
Well, Philip, it's a blessing that our family and friends are actually from New York, most of them. So they're not very affected because they're not on the list. But for you, well, I guess we'll just have to wait until your cases will go down and be consistently low for you to freely come over and visit New Jersey. Philip?
Absolutely. And if anybody is wondering how we're going to help mitigate the cases of coronavirus, we're going to talk about it at the end of our program tonight. So make sure you stay tuned. Now up next, before we get to that, we're going to have more updates. Eagle News America will return shortly. Please stay with us. Welcome back. You are watching Eagle News America. I'm Philip Toledo in Atlanta. Mississippi Governor Tate Reeves signs a law to remove a Confederate emblem from the state flag. In South Haven, Elmarie Gonzalez reports. Elmarie?
Thank you, Philip, and hello from Mississippi. On Tuesday, Governor Tate Reeves announced that he is signing a new bill to officially retire the flag which had flown over the state since 1894 with a Confederate symbol. Governor Reeves stated, "This is not a political moment to me, but a solemn occasion to lead our Mississippi family to come together, to be reconciled, and to move on to put our divisions behind us and unite for a greater good." He also mentioned, "A flag is a symbol of our present, of our people, and of our future. For those reasons, we need a new symbol." According to Reeves, the new flag will also have the words, "In God We Trust" inscribed. Governor Reeves mentioned in his press conference, with all the things that have been happening right now, the looting and the riots, the COVID-19 pandemic, the Mississippi flag has been included in this matter and believe that the best way to settle would be the people to retire the symbol on their own by voting. He also said that the economy is on the edge of a cliff. He believed that the future of this economy should not be focused on trying to defeat one another, but to work together to defeat the pandemic and the recession. The governor stated that Mississippians may not agree with him always, but as family member of the community, God's grace, Mississippi grit, history, and hope in the future are the things that have been shared by everyone. Tonight, we hear from a Mississippi resident regarding her views on the governor's decision to change the flag. Let's take a look.
Hello, my name is Barbara Youngblood Bug, and I live in Senatobia, Mississippi. I was asked to answer this question, how do you feel about the Mississippi flag being replaced? I said, well, what comes next? Mississippi is not the disaster many people assume. This is a place to draw the line, where opposition between good and evil is profound. It is a place where the blues was born, alongside meaningful literature which is read and studied around the world. We have produced civil rights heroes like Ida B. Wells, Barnett, and James Meredith. Our state produced Oprah Winfrey, James Earl Jones, Elvis Presley, and Morgan Freeman. The Grammy Museum in Cleveland, Mississippi, was desired by Chicago, New Orleans, and Nashville, but Mississippi has more Grammy Awards of all types than any other state. Idaho could never do that since only 0.7% of their people are black. In Mississippi, our population is 38% black, the highest in the nation. I love the hospitality flag, but I'm concerned that it was designed and accepted mostly by white liberals. I think a panel of experts should solicit designs from all interested parties, including the hospitality flag. The panel should have a vexillologist, a representative from the Mississippi Band of Choctaw Indians, representatives from the two museums in Jackson, the Mississippi History and Civil Rights Museums, a graphic designer. Well, you get the idea. We need to celebrate the diversity of our population with our new flag. I don't know anything about the commission, which is formed by the legislature to consider new flag designs. If that group is made up of politicians only, with no experts, I'm concerned. The commission has stated that they will only consider designs with "In God We Trust," so the proponents of the hospitality flag added those words. We know the phrase will be removed since the Supreme Court has ruled that it is unconstitutional because it would establish a state religion. Thank you.
In South Haven, Mississippi, I am Elmer Gonzalez, Eagle News. We live in interesting times. Hope you are staying safe over there in Atlanta, Philip. Back to you in studios.
Thanks, Elmarie. Thank you so much. Make sure you stay safe there in Mississippi. Now we'll turn our attention to Washington State, where they're reporting the second highest one-day increase in COVID-19 cases. In Seattle, Eagle News correspondent Michael Hudson has the details. Mike?
Hey, thanks, Philip. Here's some stats in the state of Washington when it pertains to COVID-19. As of today, the current positive cases have reached 32,824 with 1,332 deaths. As of yesterday, the state of Washington set the second highest single-day increase of positive COVID-19 cases with 571, and this marks the fourth out of 8 days the state has reported 500-plus positive cases. The previous high was set just a couple weeks ago at 619. These increases are primarily in the eastern part of the state, but King County, which is the state's largest and most populous county, still has the most positive cases with 10,177. Obviously, this is very concerning to the health officials as well as the state governor, and it just shows that the Washingtonians are not conducting the appropriate health measures when it comes to the COVID-19 prevention. And when it comes to the individual counties, there is much hesitation whether they will be able to move forward in opening businesses and move on to the next phase or retract back to phase one. We'll be sure to keep you posted on any updates surrounding this particular issue and others concerning Washington State. Reporting from Seattle, Washington, I'm Michael Hudson. We live in interesting times.
In North Hills, Eagle News correspondent Mary Ann Borja has the answer. Mary Ann?
Thank you, Philip. In their Twitter page, the Los Angeles County Department of Public Health recently addressed the issue of quarantine fatigue, or what many are now terming quarantigue, a term that describes a person's lower motivation or tiredness of precautionary guidelines from the stay at home as much as possible. Stay within your household. Gatherings, physical distancing, wearing of cloth face coverings, and more. This in turn affects the mental well-being of the individual and those in close contact, and possibly leading to depression and other emotional breakdowns. The LA Public Health Department reminds Los Angeles residents that they are not alone in facing these everyday challenges and that together as a county, everyone will be able to get through this pandemic. The department released 4 solutions to fighting off this quarantine. Solution number 1, change your mindset. The department is informing the public to think more positive, as all of these lists of safety precautions will eventually lead to a more positive outcome, which is being able to go back to our original routines, see friends and coworkers again, and back to life as people once knew it was before the pandemic occurred. Solution number 2, know the facts. The department is emphasizing that the public be aware that the threat of COVID-19 is still present and that many people can contract this virus if the necessary safety precautions are not followed. Solution number 3, de-stress. Controlling one's stress levels is another remedy given by the county's health department. Angelinos are highly advised to exercise, do meditation, reach out to family and friends to talk to them through phone or virtual means are various ways a person can lower their physical and mental stress while controlling their anxieties and during these critical times. Solution number 4 is to reach out. The county has also made available to the public 24-hour assistance through phone, text, or online. The public can call the 24-hour helpline at 800-754-7771. Text LA to 741-741 or visit the website of the Los Angeles County Department of Mental Health at dmh.lacounty.gov. Dr. Jonathan Sharon, the Mental Health Department Director, addresses this issue. Let's take a look.
Issues, fears that are provoked by different environments and the need for change, very common. In fact, we would expect that people have challenges with anxiety adjusting to new way of life for a period of time. So individuals that are kind of feeling that anxiety ought to figure out ways themselves to manage their care and always reach out. Reach out whether it's just to someone that you trust and love or to get help if that's indicated. And the Department of Mental Health is here to provide those services or to connect people with resources that may be provided otherwise.
In Los Angeles County, the number of new cases increased with 2,002 newly reported cases and 35 new deaths. The total number of confirmed cases in the county is 105,507 with 3,402 deaths as announced today by the Los Angeles Public Health Department. The state of California currently has a total of 232,657 confirmed COVID-19 cases and 6,090 deaths, as reported by the California Department of Public Health. In North Hills, California, Marianne Borja, Eagle News, we live in interesting times.
Thank you, Marianne. Now, you mentioned a lot of good rules or guidelines there to help with quarantine, but I want to focus on de-stressing. What's something that you do yourself to help you de-stress?
Well, this may seem kind of strange, Philip, but I don't have a dog myself or any pets, so I actually watch videos of dogs and any other cute animals on YouTube, which really help me de-stress when I'm feeling anxious or just not feeling that well.
Well, I think that's a good idea. You're able to get the benefit of, watching the cute puppies, but, you also don't have to clean up after them or get hair all over the house or anything like that. I wanted to ask you, one of the things that you mentioned in your report was about the importance of facts. And I don't know about you, but my social media, there's a lot of people, throwing facts out there, and it's hard to tell what's real and what's not. Is there any guidance on social media and the different articles, or I don't know if you can even call them memes, but the little pictures that people just slap some facts on there? Is there any guidance from the authorities on how to deal with that?
Well, when you're on social media, there are definitely things that you're not really sure what to trust, but it's really good to check reliable sources, such as on Twitter, you can check if someone is verified, the blue check mark next to their name, which is a good way of seeing if someone is trustworthy. And you should also make sure if a website does not have a lot of followers or just is not very known to the public.
Absolutely. Well, I think those are good things for our viewers to know, especially as we transition to our next segment, where we will be talking about how we can help mitigate the spread of coronavirus now that the pandemic restrictions are easing in most states. So stay tuned, everyone. We'll hear from our correspondents and some special guests when we come back. This is Eagle News America. back, everyone. You are watching Eagle News America. I'm Philip Toledo in Atlanta. Virus restrictions in most states have eased in recent weeks. Some cities have reopened non-essential businesses operating at up to 50% capacity. However, as states reopen, there is an alarming trend of COVID-19 cases spiking daily, therefore raising the possibility of reversing to earlier phases of reopening. Tonight, let's ask our Eagle News team how we can help mitigate the spread of the virus so we can all move forward safely and surely and help get the nation running again. Before we begin, we also want to say hello to some special guests who have joined us. They are regulars here on Eagle News America. We have Jane Kathleen Gregorio from Corpus Christi and Imelin Ramos in Washington, D.C. How are you doing, everyone?
Hi, Philip. We're doing good. We're doing good. We're still staying safe. Hopefully, you're staying safe too there in Atlanta.
We're doing what we can. We're not visiting New Jersey anytime soon, though. How about you, Kathleen?
We're dealing with our pausing of the reopening of Texas as, like you mentioned earlier, the state seems to have increased in its COVID-19 cases ever since we began the reopening. So, yes, we're hanging in there.
So I guess we can start our conversation there. So for those who may not know, what has the state of Texas now done to try to curb the spike of cases?
Well, Philip, originally we were on a phase 3 course, which allowed places to open at 75% capacity, but ever since the number of positive cases and hospitalizations have increased at least by 10% throughout the state. And, you know, my hometown of San Antonio being one of the major fastest growing hotspots, the governor has initiated an executive order that like certain places where it seems that the cases are spiking, like certain businesses are going to be limited to 50% capacity. It seems that we're reversing back to somewhat of a more phase 2 type of situation.
And I'm sure many people are disappointed by that.
Yes, they're disappointed, but at the same time, because many of the residents here in Texas are realizing the dangers, it seems to be, we seem to have an atmosphere of compliance, at least for here where I am in Corpus Christi.
That's a good thing. Now, you know, we heard earlier from Carlo, you there in New Jersey, one of the states where it seems like, you know, the numbers are at least going in the right direction, and it's the other states that can't go in there. As you're watching, you know, people in these other states, do you have any advice that you can give them of something that they can do to help mitigate the spread of this coronavirus?
Thanks, Philip. I think we just continue to listen to the government, listen to what they have to say, and take into heed, because they are there to help us. Of course, we're going to practice our, you know, the proper hygiene, washing our hands for 20 seconds, you know, social distancing. And also, you know, it's also really, really good to take your vitamins. I myself, I know I take elderberry, colloidal silver, you know, vitamin C, all those. So that really helps a lot. Like if you go to like a grocery store, look at the immune system section, you just pick all the vitamins there.
Absolutely.
You know.
Absolutely, and I think that's important too, because, you know, a lot of experts are saying that, you know, eventually most people will end up getting the virus, so we want to make sure that, you know, our immune systems are prepared. You know, and it's interesting because, you know, now we're in July. Today is the first day of July here in the United States, and in a few days we have a big holiday coming up. Maybe we can ask Marianne there in California, what can people do to help celebrate the 4th of July, Independence Day, safely? What should they do or not do?
Well, to make sure that you're staying safe during this holiday, there is going to be a temptation to buy fireworks or which is not really the best idea. Maybe you can go on YouTube and watch some live streams of fireworks celebrations, which is a very good idea. And it's also a good idea to make sure to stay safe and make sure you're not going on the streets where everybody might be gathering, and make sure you also do not gather in large parties, even though there is a temptation to be with your families during this time. So make sure you just keep it close to close family and stay home.
And that's a good point. When you started mentioning fireworks and big gatherings, it made me think about Imelin there in the nation's capital, where I've heard that, they have, one of the biggest firework displays or 4th of July celebrations there. Imelin, what's the vibe of the people there in D.C., in the nation's capital, when we're thinking of this upcoming holiday?
Yes, Philip. Actually, there are plans that the president is planning to have a fireworks display right in the National Mall. We are scared, because there will be a lot of people who usually go, and so far it's still on. The plans still on, and for those families who really want to go and cannot contain their happiness because it's July 4 celebration. What our family is doing is what we call the quarantine, because we have 2 families that we trust the most, that we are confident and comfortable to go out with. So we can hike with them, we can go to picnics with them without worrying that they are not safe, that they are not following the protocol. Any families that you trust, at least to be with you, that it is okay to go out, because start the lockdown eases, that's when we start going out, and it's pretty scary. At least you have someone someone you can trust to go out with. Now with the 4th of July celebration, if it can be, if it can be done, we should just stay at home and watch the fireworks from outside. It's still nice. It's still the same sky. But then if anyone can't, and they want to really enjoy the celebration, be with someone you want, that you trust, and try to have at least a distance and the mask on. It'll be nice. Philip.
Absolutely. Thank you, Imelin. Now, what about May-Ann there back in New Jersey? Are there any plans in your community for some safe firework or 4th of July celebrations?
Well, Philip, we're just planning a small barbecue get-together with a very small crowd. Here in New Jersey, we are already allowed by the governor to gather outside for up to 250 people. But you know what, Philip? We are not confident enough to do that. In fact, my son's first birthday is in 2 days, and we were tempted, to be honest, to have an outdoor celebration, because that will serve also as like a reunion for friends and family and our church mates. But as I've said, we're not confident yet. We changed our mind, we changed our plan, and we're just doing a virtual celebration, and we're okay with that. And my way, or our way, my family's way of mitigating the virus, given all of this easing of restrictions, is that to just keep in mind, Philip, that the virus is still there. We cannot relax it. We cannot just drop our shield just yet. And to avoid the temptation to go out and to go to these crazy big sales that's happening at every retail store almost, Of course, we understand that the businesses are doing that in order to survive, right? And we want to support our business owners, especially the local businesses in our areas. But there are so many ways to support them. Then just go to the store, especially if it's like an restaurant or an indoor dining. You can just order, have it delivered, go to a park or somewhere outdoor, and just avoid crowds and avoid going into indoor stores like the restaurants here. As I've reported last week, we were supposed to resume our indoor dining, but it was retracted by the governor, and I believe it was a very wise decision, Philip, seeing all of the spikes around the country. And just like what we've been promoting in the past, just go if you need to you really need to go out for your mental health, then just go have a walk at the park. Well, do fruit picking. There's a lot of blueberry farms here in New Jersey, so I guess we'll just do that instead of going to the malls, because our malls are opening tomorrow. And yeah, that's what we've been doing, Philip. Just buying stuff online and staying at home when we can, if possible. And for our mental health, just go to the park. Philip.
Absolutely, and that's a good point, because we hear, we're reminded almost daily about the hand washing and wearing a mask, which has become its own separate polarized issue for many people. But especially now that restrictions are being eased, if we can take something away for our viewers at home, is that we need to still do our best to social distance and avoid those large crowds, those large gatherings. I think Aimelin made a good point. The fireworks, if you're watching a big fireworks display, you can usually see that for miles upon miles away. So it doesn't really, it's not really worth the risk, at least to me, to be right up there, looking straight up to it. It might even be more comfortable if you're a little bit further away. You can see everything at once. But these are all good reminders from everyone. We're going to continue our discussion after we take a short break. So everyone, please stay with us. This is Eagle News America. And welcome back. You're watching Eagle News America. We're having a group discussion right now on ways to mitigate the coronavirus as states begin or continue their reopening phases. Now, over the last break, we heard that Kathleen in Corpus Christi has a new item to help her with mitigating the coronavirus. Kathleen, can you tell us a little bit more about it and why is it so special to you?
I'd be delighted to, Philip. As a matter of fact, now that facial coverings are becoming mandatory with the new mandates that have been issued, my husband ordered me for my an early birthday gift. It's called a fashionista mask. Comes in different colors and designs, but in addition to having this nice color, which it's nice because it also matches my purse, so I could wear it.
That's important.
It also comes with a filter. Like there's like a special filter that you can actually remove and replace. So that's really nice. And there's I guess it's like a ventilation tab right there. So really nice, thoughtful gift. So you can be safe while still being in style. How about you, Philip?
Do I have a stylish mask? I do actually. One of my friends who actually lives in California, so maybe we'll go to California for the next follow-up question. But she makes masks, and so she made a matching set for my family, and it's got the Marvel super comic book heroes So my son is 2 and he's not really into wearing a mask right now, so hence he stayed at home. But we have it when he's ready to go out. How about you, Marianne? Do you have any unique or interesting masks or face coverings that you wanted to share?
I actually do. My aunt actually recently had a baby, and she had all this extra fabric, and she thought what better to do with it than to use the fabric that she used to make some new baby clothes for some masks for the whole family. And I don't have it with me right now. It's actually in the washer. But it's super cute, but kind of embarrassing to go out in public with a pattern that says baby. Baby boy.
I'm sure that's okay. If I thought about it with my wife too, trying to use my son's old dinosaur onesies to try to make a mask, but we're still working on that. What about Carlo there in New Jersey? Have there been anything unique that you and your family or friends maybe have done to try to make these restrictions more palatable?
With my friends, actually, we like to go hiking. So we've been actually going out, get some fresh air, but it's scary at times because, you still see people wearing masks, which I get scared too because, you don't know how it's going to spread. So we do practice the social distancing, like even when we're walking. So even if they do get mad, I have my mask with me at all times. Because, they get mad at you now if you're not wearing a mask. So always wear your mask or bring a mask.
That's a good point. Now, Imelin, I know I was just talking, when we're on the subject of masks, I was about to ask, I know you have some little ones. Are they able to wear a mask? Because I know my son doesn't.
Hi. This is Yan Yan. He's actually in his bedtime, but he wants to be with mommy. He's 2.5. He's 2 years old and 3 months. But he wears his mask, no problem. Whenever we go out, we have the surgical mask for him. I will tie the ends so it will fit his ears, and it's okay. I think he likes it because he sees us wearing the mask, so there's no problem with him wearing it too. Also, my 4-year-old, I think they have no problem wearing the mask, so it's good. It's a good thing. And I'm not that crafty, so I cannot share any any mask that I have made. But we have friends that yes. He didn't say hi. He wants to be with mommy. Philip.
I think he'll be our new correspondent for the episode next week. Now, what about up there in New Jersey, Mayanne? I know you have a family too. You mentioned I think you said your son, his first birthday is coming up. Do you have any tips for parents on how to help their kids stay safe during this time?
Philip, I'm a new parent, apparently. My son is just turning 1. But my advice is to just really stay home. I'm not really comfortable exposing my son, my baby, to a big crowd, most especially. And for when we go out, go to the parks, we only make sure that we're a small group. We have church friends, we have families and friends, but luckily we all understand the need to social distance. We all understand the need to stay safe and protecting ourselves and protecting other people. So it's not a problem to just be in a small group. So for my baby, he's not, since this pandemic began, since this virus has affected us, he was never exposed to a big crowd. So I guess that's the key, Philip, no? So to just stay home when you can, or when you need to go out, just make sure it's not a big group, and that this small group that you go with when you go outside is not sick, not showing symptoms, and so that you're all safe and that no one will get infected. Philip?
That's a good point. I think so for our viewers at home, another way to think about it is it's about how we mitigate risk. So obviously the easiest way to not catch the coronavirus is to absolutely have no exposure, right? But we know that especially as the states begin to reopen, it's really not feasible for everybody to stay inside the whole time and have no interaction with, the people outside. So when, like you mentioned, Mayan, when you do have to go out, or even, when you want to, whatever you can do to help mitigate that by avoiding the crowds, wearing a mask. I want to particularly point out that places like grocery stores or department stores or, the hardware home improvement stores where, people are going to find stuff to fill the time when they're at home. Those are really the places where you have to be careful because, people aren't necessarily paying attention to all those around them, and you want to take every precaution that you can to save or to help protect your loved ones and help mitigate the risk. So before we end here, I just want to open it up to anyone, any last words of advice to our viewers who, may be looking for unique tips or tricks on how to stay sane and also be safe during this coronavirus?
Should I go first?
Yeah, you're on the screen. Go ahead.
I know. Well, Philip, again, to just keep in mind that the virus is still there. We cannot relax just yet. So just what Marianne reported earlier, what she mentioned in her report, it's all about mindset. Let us just accept the fact that this is our new normal and try to enjoy other opportunities like our parks, nature, our beaches. There are so many other ways to enjoy and to take care of our mental health by avoiding the crowds and by being safe. So that's it from me. Philip, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mayan, and we'll let you have the last word. So thank you to everyone who joined us in our group banter this evening. But before we go, there's something that's important that we always do. We have the frontline and essential workers that are working so hard to keep all of us safe and healthy during this pandemic. So as always, we want to greet everyone with a round of applause. We thank you so much for all that you do. We also want to continue to say a special congratulations to the class of 2020. We are so proud of you. So ladies and gentlemen, that is it for today's Eagle News America. Thank you so much for joining us, and we hope that you'll tune in next time. From all of us here, stay safe and stay well. I'm Philip Toledo. We live in interesting times.